Hey everyone, Vanessa Wheeler here again with Premier Guitar. Before you do anything else, don't forget to like and subscribe below. Today we are taking a look at a pedal that expands on a section of one of the most popular and ubiquitous reverb pedals of the last decade. It is the Cloudburst by Strymon Engineering. Let's dig in. Along with your standard reverb controls such as decay, mix, modulation, pre-delay, and tone, you also have a three-way switch in the middle which provides three different distinct tonal palettes. In the off position, you get your ambient reverb. In the middle position, called MP or mezzo piano, meaning medium soft, there is a combination of ambient reverb with synth-like string textures. And in the left position, or forte, also in orchestral terms meaning to play with maximum force or as loud as possible, provides massive, lush orchestral textures. The back panel boasts stereo ins and outs, TRS for use with MIDI, TRS expression or selection switches, and USB-C for performing firmware updates. In the next example, I'm using 4 different reverb settings over 4 different parts. There is a subtle reverb on the lead guitar, a more lush distance setting on the rhythm guitar. I'm using mezzo piano setting to add a little texture to arpeggiated parts that is also sitting kind of far in the distance. And then my favorite is using mezzo piano but with decay all the way down, so you get this very 80s style dry synth track tracking along with the bass part. So let's take a listen to that. The next example is all about that really special sound when the orchestra is playing chords at the same time. I'm using a completely wet forte signal, and I'm using a volume pedal before the signal to swell in my playing. The pedal is really sensitive at this point, so I have to use a couple different playing techniques in order to achieve those really special orchestral sounds. In the next example, I am experimenting with the expression pedal out, manipulating the decay knob. On the first half of the example, I am doing this kind of chaotic rhythmic tape delay effect, and then I juxtapose it with a gradual swell of ambient decay. Okay, enough of that. In the next example, I am using two different settings. One is the bassy overdriven part, and then I have an ambient arpeggiated part that kind of has a melody with it, but both of them have really high modulation, so it's giving 80s synth vibes. Let's take a listen to that. In the last example, I am in MP mode, starting with a bright tone, medium, modulation, and mix, and then I max out the mix knob, which takes us into an almost plate territory, but with this constant undulating synth part behind it. The Cloudburst is one of those pedals that can do ambient reverb, a plate reverb. It can do slapback in its own way and modulation really, really well. But the thing that makes it so special is that now as guitarists we have access to string sounds and orchestral sounds and dry 80s synth sounds that don't sound completely fake. The addition of MIDI, stereo, and firmware updates via USB means that this thing is kind of limitless within the sphere of reverb. If you're a guitarist that also produces, is a composer, does sound design, or has any kind of predilection for experimentation, then I think this is a dream tool, and I really don't want to give it back. So with that, my name is Vanessa Wheeler for Premier Guitar, and I will see you next time.